Ever buy something online and wonder how they get that price so low?
Right. Yeah.
I mean, we all know about manufacturing and shipping costs, right?
Yeah.
But what about the cost of actually getting a product from like a factory floor all the way across oceans and into our hands?
It's a journey.
Today's deep dive throws open the cargo doors on global logistics. And trust me, it gets way more interesting than you might think.
It's fascinating. We often overlook logistics, but honestly, it really is the backbone of global trade, isn't it?
I completely agree. So we're diving deep into excerpts from this World Bank research paper.
Yeah.
It's got this really long title, something like Global Logistics Indicators, Supply Chain Metrics, and Bilateral Trade Patterns. I know, right? But these researchers actually crunched the numbers to uncover how a country's logistics performance can really make or break its success on the global market.
Yeah, and I love that they use this term logistics friction.
Logistics friction.
Yeah. Oh.
So it speaks to those often unseen obstacles that can actually be more impactful than simple geographic distance.
Okay, so not just like how many miles product travels, but all the bumps along the road.
Exactly.
Okay.
Think about it this way. A shipment of those avocados that you love.
Oh, no, not my avocado.
Stuck in a traffic jam outside some congested port. Each day that passes, their value, their freshness, it all diminishes.
Yeah.
That's logistics friction in action.
Okay, ouch, I can feel that hitting my wallet already.
And the research points to some pretty startling examples. For instance, the time it takes to export a container from Kazakhstan versus Sweden. Any guesses on the difference there?
Let me guess. A few days, maybe a week at most.
Try 93 days for Kazakhstan.
Oh, wow.
Compared to a mere 6 days for Sweden.
93 days. That's over 3 months just to get a container out the door.
It's crazy.
Wow.
And it's not just time. It's also about navigating the often murky waters of international bureaucracy.
Oh, tell me about it.
So the study found that in Namibia, trade-related transactions for a single container can set you back over $3,000.
And that's in stark contrast to a country like Germany, where those same transactions cost a fraction of that, like only $813 according to the study. It's like some countries are playing a video game on easy mode, and others are stuck on the hardest setting, complete with hidden fees and just endless paperwork. Exactly. And that's what I find so insightful about this research. It exposes those hidden costs, and it highlights how they can make or break a country's attractiveness to importers.
So it's not enough to have, a great product.
Yeah.
You need to actually be able to get it to where it needs to be on time and without breaking the bank.
It's true.
And this is where the World Bank's Logistics Index comes into play.
Right. The researchers meticulously broke down these key components of logistics performance and created a single scorecard, so you could compare countries.
A logistics report card.
Basically.
I love it. Tell me more.
Well, it goes way beyond just speedy delivery, right? They looked at 3 key areas: direct costs, time-related costs, and this thing they call the unpredictability penalty, which I find really compelling.
The unpredictability penalty. Okay, now you've got my attention. Break that down for me.
Okay, so think of it this way. You're a business owner.
Okay.
You're relying on these imported materials. If your supplier has, unreliable delivery times, maybe due to port congestion or customs delays or who knows what, you're forced to keep extra inventory on hand just in case.
Oh, like a safety net.
Exactly.
To prevent those production delays. But, that safety net probably has its own cost.
You're getting it. That extra inventory, it ties up capital that you could be using to grow your business. Not to mention you've got higher storage costs, the risk of those materials becoming obsolete. It's a hidden cost that can really impact a company's bottom line and potentially even yours, right, as the consumer.
So unpredictable logistics create this ripple effect that can be felt throughout the entire supply chain.
Precisely.
And all the way to us.
Yes.
That's wild. So efficient logistics are less about speed and more about predictability.
100%.
Minimizing those hidden costs and just ensuring a smooth flow of goods.
You've hit the nail on the head. And while infrastructure is definitely a factor, what I find even more intriguing is the role that policy and institutional factors play.
Wait, are you saying that building better roads and ports isn't the be-all and end-all of logistics?
Well,
tell me more about these institutional factors. Tell me more.
It's important, building infrastructure. But this research really found that the way a country functions, its policies, its institutions, that can really make or break its logistics game.
So having a brand new race car but with a sputtering engine.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so let's pop the hood and see what's going on. What kind of policies are we talking about here? And what kind of impact are we seeing?
Well, let's start with customs.
Okay.
Imagine a system where like 100% of imports are meticulously inspected.
Oh, no.
Welcome to Sri Lanka.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
And then contrast that with Germany, where a mere 2% of imports face that kind of scrutiny.
Talk about a bureaucratic bottleneck.
Yeah.
I can practically hear those containers groaning in frustration.
Right. And it goes way beyond customs, too. Think about just the sheer volume of paperwork involved in international trade. This study found that in the Democratic Republic of Congo, you need 42 signatures to export something.
42 signatures. That's wild.
In Austria, it's two.
Two.
2 signatures and you're good to go.
I'd need a personal assistant just to keep track of all that paperwork.
Right. All those bureaucratic hurdles, they just add delays, costs, and just a mountain of uncertainty for businesses.
So streamlining regulations, tackling corruption, embracing technology, these things are just as vital as building new highways or fancy ports.
100%. It's about fostering an environment where businesses can thrive, not just survive. And that brings us back to the World Bank's logistics index.
Right, the logistics report card.
Yep.
It's not just about comparing countries, is it?
Not at all. It's a tool for countries to, pinpoint those areas for improvement,
Yeah.
strategize investments.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine if you're trying to, improve your health, but you have no way to track your progress.
Right.
This index gives countries a way to measure that,
Yeah.
Measure their logistics performance, see where they stack up.
So instead of just, blindly throwing money at these big infrastructure projects, they can be much more targeted in how they're actually approaching this.
Exactly. It's not like you need a state-of-the-art port if your customs process is stuck in the Stone Age.
Right, exactly. It's about that holistic view,
Yeah.
optimizing for efficiency across the board.
Yeah, absolutely. But there's another dimension to this that I find really interesting.
Oh, do tell. Always up for a good plot twist. What's that?
Well, we've been talking about the impact of logistics on a country's exports, right?
Right.
But what about the flip side?
What's that?
What about their reliance on imports?
Oh, that's a great point. I mean, all this talk of efficiency has me thinking, what happens when a country with, shall we say, less than stellar logistics track record needs to import essential goods?
Yeah.
What happens then? It's like we've been so focused on getting the goods out the door that we haven't really considered what happens when those doors swing both ways, right?
It's such a critical point, and the same principles really do apply, but I think the stakes are so much higher when we're talking about, a country's reliance on things like food or medicine or even energy.
Imagine depending on a shipment of, I don't know, vital medical supplies, but instead of arriving in a few days, they're stuck in bureaucratic limbo for weeks or even months.
Right.
Suddenly, those hidden costs of inefficient logistics, they become a matter of life or death.
Exactly. And it's not just hypothetical. I mean, we've seen in recent years how even these small disruptions to the global supply chain, right?
Yeah.
Think about pandemic lockdowns or political instability, even extreme weather events.
Right.
They can have ripple effects that are felt literally worldwide.
Yeah. It really highlights how interconnected we all are, but also how vulnerable a country can be if their logistics infrastructure just isn't up to par.
It makes you think, right? For countries that score lower on this logistics index, should they focus on, I don't know, diversifying their import sources?
Right.
Reduce their reliance on a single region, or maybe invest really heavily in domestic production, even if it's initially more expensive.
Or could there be a case for strategic partnerships, teaming up with countries that are known for their logistics, prowess, to kind of bolster their own systems.
Totally. It's like finding those strategic alliances in a video game to level up your character's abilities.
Right.
There's so many possibilities and potential solutions, but what's clear is that this research just shines a light on a topic that really extends far beyond those, windowless shipping offices at the docks.
Logistics is no longer this niche concern.
Definitely not.
It's absolutely crucial to a country's economic resilience, its competitiveness, even its security in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
Who knew that something as seemingly mundane as just moving goods from point A to point B could be so important on a global scale?
It's one of those hidden systems that we often just take for granted until something goes wrong.
It's a great reminder, though, just to appreciate the complexity of that journey, the next time we're tracking a package online or, marveling at a cargo ship off on the horizon.
100%. There's so much more to it than meets the eye.
And on that note, we'll drop anchor on this deep dive into global logistics. We journeyed from the bustling ports of Sweden all the way to the bureaucratic labyrinths of the Democratic Republic of Congo, uncovering those hidden costs and the surprising power of logistics performance. Hopefully we've given you a newfound appreciation for, the intricacies of international trade and the often overlooked factors that really do shape our world. Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep asking those really insightful questions.